last week we talked a lot about, we did like a mock draft. We talked a lot about rookies. I want to touch on one thing that's kind of happening in like the sports news a bit that's not really being discussed as news.
Sure.
I have a theory, and I just am not seeing it like discussed really as an actual theory. It's just being kind of disregarded as like senility and like out of touch front office, and I don't think that that's what it is. So
Okay.
yeah. So my theory is that Jerry Jones is putting Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy on a plank right now, and
Yeah.
he's going to make those two essentially play for their jobs this season. And I don't think that they're all in on winning right now, because I don't think that they're all in on their coach and quarterback. And I think that changed after the playoff game. I think Jerry was watching that playoff game in the box and threw on like the Emperor Palpatine hood after that loss. And I don't know that he wants to extend Dak. I don't know that he wants to extend Mike. And I don't know that anybody's really safe. It feels like CeeDee Lamb might be safe, but it sounds like they haven't even entered contract talks with him. So I'm seeing this like online thing of like, oh, well, they don't know what they're doing. Jerry's old. I mean, there was that meme going around of him like scribbling on the paper. That's like his notes on that meeting, whatever. Like, I get that.
We're going all in.
Yeah. I get that angle for sure. I understand like it's fun to make fun of the Cowboys for everybody. It's like, they're like America's team. They've become America's like punching bag. They choke in the playoffs, but they're the only team in the NFL that's won 12 games the last 3 seasons. Nobody's done that.
Yeah.
Not we talked about this, but not the Chiefs, not the Ravens, not the Bengals, not the Bills, not anybody, not the Niners.
Yeah.
And this idea that like Jerry and Steven haven't put together a good ball club is crazy. Like they have. They've put together like multiple really good ball clubs around Dak. I think if they lost in like the NFC Championship game last year, we might be having a different conversation. But the way they lost, how they lost, when they lost at home, I think that it took every bit of restraint for him not to trade Dak the next day and fire Mike. And I think instead he's kind of running this sort of like, okay, if these guys can pull it off this year, I'll bring these guys back. But barring, I think, basically like making a Super Bowl, those guys might be gone.
Yeah.
And it's
I think. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I there's so many ways to look at it, because in a sense Dak has gotten it done, but in another sense he totally hasn't. And he was awful in that playoff game. I mean, he was making like, he took a sack on 3rd down that basically ended the game in like the first half. He threw 2 pick sixes. He was not able to make reads. Like Green Bay was running disguises and he wasn't picking it up. The defense was really bad too, but the defense really only got exposed to that level because I think Green Bay, like, I think Mike LaFleur is a great coach, and I think he kind of pinned his ears back and was like, fuck it. Like, we have full carte blanche to, like, just go forward with a head of steam and, like, really run these guys into the ground. And I think the reason they had that is because Dak couldn't get a drive going for, like, the entire first half. And it was all on Dak, And that's the thing. It's like, I don't know how you leave that game as an owner and be like, I have confidence in this guy moving forward. And it sucks because he had a great season last year and they won 12 games again. But it just seems like every time it matters, he sucks.
Yeah, so you'll have to fill me in because I do remember that I don't remember what I was doing, but I was somewhere when that game started. Probably just at work. But I had to I remember coming in to my bedroom and I turned it on and I think the Cowboys were down it was 28-3 or something. You know what I mean? It was already it was over already. Yeah. And I just kind of laughed and was like, "Oh, boo." And I turned it off, Was there any special just pertaining to that game, was there any unbelievable game plan on the defensive end, or was it really just Dak being terrible?
I mean, I think part of it was coaching. It seemed like Green Bay knew what they were going to run for a lot of that. They ran this concept down everybody's throat this year of basically lining up 3 wide receivers and then putting CeeDee Lamb like in the slot in the middle, and on like third and medium, like just on medium pass plays, like running on. They would basically like clear out and then run like CeeDee Lamb as a slant like underneath, and like teams were having a really hard time covering it this year. It seemed like Dak got picked off twice, staring that concept down. And one of them was to the crib with Jair Alexander. I don't remember if he threw 3 picks or 2. But yeah, I mean, there was also a moment.
I think it was 2.
Yeah, there was a moment in the second quarter where they were down by like multiple scores, but like if they got a touchdown, like it would have been like 21-7 or like 21-10. It was like, okay, like you're not dead. And it was like a third and medium, third and long. They were like just inside field goal range, and their kicker.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Did he throw another pick?
No. He took a sack. So essentially, like the only thing that he could have done in that play besides throw a pick.
Yeah, I think this was like right when I turned it on.
Yeah, the only like no bueno, like you cannot do this was like take a sack because they were they needed points. It was like they needed a touchdown, but like a field goal would have at least like put a Band-Aid on the blood.
Yeah.
Like it was just you know, they were capsizing. And Brandon Aubrey, who was their kicker this year, was like I don't know if he missed a kick all season. Like he was like the best kicker in football this year. So they were in field goal range on third down, and it was just like they had to run a pass play to try to get a first, to try to set up a touchdown, but like it was like, okay, you know, high school football, like any coach is going to be like, throw the ball away, like we can at least try a field goal and like live to fight another day. And he like rolled right and like clutched the ball and like didn't have anybody open. Instead of just throwing it out of bounds, he took a sack, and they got kicked out of field goal range and had to punt. And that was ball game. And this is like after the picks, after after Aaron Jones became like 2018 Aaron Jones, and like, I mean, Jordan Love put on a clinic. And so I do think part of it's coaching, and I think part of it is just Dak completely folding in a moment. You know, I think their staff saw something on tape and was like, I think this is what they're going to try to do. Let's jump it. Let's disguise some coverages, and I think we can beat this team. And losing's bad enough, but the way they lost, and they lost because of coaching and quarterback play, essentially. And their defensive guy's out of there. He's head coaching in Washington.
Yeah,
so
that's
it leaves
the craziest.
These 2 guys. It leaves these 2 linchpins of like, screw you guys. Like, you know, and Jerry, if I'm Jerry, I'm like, he's built a good roster. Not a great one, but a good one. These guys have won 12 games. In 3 years in a row. That doesn't happen by accident. It's a weird crossroads, and I feel like everyone's sort of just talking about it as like, oh, well, Jerry's old. They don't know what they're doing, and they didn't sign a running back. It's like, I think this year is going to decide like whether or not he's taking a stick of dynamite to a rebuild, or we're going to see like Dak or Mike moving forward. I don't know if we're going to see either of these guys.
Yeah, so I think with if you're Jerry, it makes a lot of sense to just be a Super Bowl or bust team this year.
Yeah.
Because I think that's just where he's at with them, is like literally like you have to win a Super Bowl. Anything less is unacceptable. Like, granted, they could probably like, you know, if you get like, if you like pull like a Detroit Lions where you go to the NFC Championship game and then you like, you know, you just get outmatched by a better team in the second half. It's like, okay, like you can probably still justify like keeping Dak around, or maybe, you know, maybe you switch it up a little bit. But the problem is, it's like, when you think about like a rebuild as far as like the NFL goes, like it's tough. You need the quarterback. And for him, you know, at his age, I mean, I feel like this is like Jerry's like Mike Ilitch time, you know, where like Mike was like really wanted the Tigers to win a World Series. So he just like poured a ton of money into the team, and they almost got there. And you know, they were so close so many times, and then they just ultimately never got it. But I think Jerry's probably dealing with a similar thing of like he's realizing how old he is, and he's looking at the product and going, okay, I don't think I have the quarterback, and I don't think I have the coach to like get me over the hump. So what I can do, I can kick this can down the road one more year. I can not pay either of them. I can fire McCarthy at the end of the year if they fail, and I can just like, is Dak a free agent next year, or is he?
They have to. Yeah, so he wants an extension right now to lock him up moving forward. But if they don't extend him, he's an unrestricted free agent next cycle.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't sign him. I
I don't think you can.
I would probably let him walk, but I don't know. I feel like you can get a lot for him. So maybe like a sign and trade situation or a like if they just, you know what I mean? Like they
If I'm
lock him
Vegas,
up
I'm
for,
making the call yesterday.
if I'm,
Why
he's
haven't
got to
you?
be like, if they don't start super hot, I feel like he might be on the move at the trade deadline. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
like, cause I feel like that's where you can get like a real, like a fatty haul too. Like, you know, what's from like a team, like you said, like a Vegas who like, you know,
Yeah.
they might be, you know, how, I don't know what week it is, maybe week 9 now. Cause they switched it, I think,
Yeah.
but you know, who knows? They could be like 4-4 or something like that. It's like, ah, man, like we're not like we've almost won 3 of those 4 games that we lost, but like Aiden
Yeah.
O'Connell ain't it. You know
No.
what I mean? Like
But they got
with a
Gardner Minshew
guy.
too, but I just don't think like
Yeah, right.
I like Vegas as some of their pieces right now. I just
Yeah.
I don't know how you
Like
could
their
sign and
quarterback?
give Dak Prescott the money right now if you're Dallas. If you
You
watch
can't.
what just happened with Daniel
You
Jones and the
can't.
Giants, it's like,
It's over, man. He's
what
not
if this
he's
happens to
he
us? Like, what if we pay Dak right now, like crazy money, and then
yeah.
we're stuck with him for 5 more years, and this is the best we ever got. Like, I
I
think the
think
best you
frankly,
got was right now. The window was
yeah.
2 years ago,
Yep.
last season, the season before, and then last season.
Yep.
Like the last 3 years, that was like the time of being like, okay, we can go make a run, and they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't. They didn't
No.
make a they didn't. They have one playoff win, and it's
They
like
didn't even get close. That's the problem.
no,
Like they didn't even get close.
no
And now
championship
that
game.
and now they're, you know, now their coordinator left.
Yeah,
You know, Kellen Moore, who's their offensive coordinator right now?
Mike McCarthy.
Oh, he just took over play
He
calling
took
and
over the
didn't.
offense after Kellen Moore
Yeah,
bounced.
that's ridiculous. So you lose Kellen
I
Moore, now
mean,
you've
they
lost.
sucked at first, but they really
Yeah, they
figured it
turned
out.
it.
But
No, they
but
turned it
again, they
around.
figured
But
it out. There's no identity. They figured it out doing the same thing that Kellen had done. Like Kellen was running explosive passing offense with the weapons
yeah,
and with Dak and with the O line and with Pollard. And Mike McCarthy last year, before the year started, came into the year saying, "Oh, we just want to run the damn ball. We want to run the damn ball." And they've tried to make Pollard the RB1, and
no.
then they were
What's the running
bad
back
for the
plan for
first.
them this year? That's what I mean. Like
What'd you
it's
say?
what's the running back plan?
Don't know.
Who's their running
Unclear.
back?
Unclear. Who's their
I
wide
mean,
receiver too?
yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I
They
don't know.
lost the
It's
left tackle.
yeah, it's interesting, man. I don't know. They're in a rough spot. I would not want to be a Cowboys fan right now because there's no light at the end of the tunnel. You know what I
It's
mean?
just something to
Like
keep an eye on. It's something to keep an eye
I
on,
don't
and I don't know that it's nothing, and I don't know that Jerry
no.
is just this clueless, because Steven's running a lot of the show too, so you can't blame
Yeah,
it all
yeah,
on Jerry. It's I don't know that these
yeah.
guys are clueless, out of touch, morons who well, we didn't call for Derrick Henry because we don't know what we're doing, and I'm asleep. No, he's put together good rosters. I don't think that I think they're setting up to be I'm not paying anybody else until I see an outcome this year that makes you
Yeah.
guys worthy of the money.
Yeah.
That's just how it feels.
No, that's real.
The micro rumors that, I think that's leaked stuff from the front office. I don't think that's real. I don't think anybody wants Micah
no.
out of there.
No, I don't think so either. It's too
I
good.
think they're screw this guy. You've
Yeah.
not shown up in multiple big games. Where was Micah in the Green Bay game?